the Channel 3 News documentary, The Sightings, the story behind remarkable UFO photos and videotapes taken by a prominent Gulf Breeze businessman, the story of his struggle to understand what's happening. Tonight, we present his account and examine The Sightings.
Things were very normal around the house, just a normal evening. My wife says she's got to run to the store. Anyway, I'm sitting at my desk. Out the window, I noticed something, a glow. I got up and walked around outside and looked. It just didn't look like a helicopter or an airplane. I realized that it was not something normal. I thought I'd call in the police, and I said, well, I better take a picture first. I had no feelings I was going to be, hurt or anything. I took 4 shots and ran out of film, and again in my mind, take some more pictures. I ran back in, took the last package of Polaroid film out, opened up and crammed it in there, because the thing's flying around out there, get it quick. It either saw me or whatever, because it started coming. It altered its course. It started coming my direction.
That was November 11th, 1987, about 6 o'clock in the evening. A Gulf Breeze resident who insists on remaining anonymous took these photographs. Charlie and Doris Summerby say they saw the same thing that night over East Bay.
And suddenly, Doris said, look, what's that, Charlie? I'll be darned. There were portholes. We saw portholes of light coming out of the portholes.
And over the next 3 months, many more pictures would be taken. By different people. And videotapes, too.
And I feel that there's absolutely no sign of a hoax, that the photographs are genuine, that the witnesses are telling the truth, and that this presents probably the best, without any doubt, the best photographic evidence in 40 years of UFO investigations.
The man who took this picture does not want his real name used, but does want his story told. We'll call him Jim. Using a transcript of our interview, a narrator tells his story.
If I hadn't had the photographs, I might not have believed it myself.
UFO investigator Charles Flanagan has also interviewed Jim about the November 11th incident.
After the 5th picture, he ran into the street, held the camera up in preparation to take the next picture. And when he did, as he held the camera up, he was immediately frozen in a blue beam.
That's where the real trauma started. Unable to move any part of your body, eyelids, eyeballs, toes. The worst was the chest, not being able to breathe. The pressure, it was like being surrounded in concrete. Inside the beam was this disgusting, sickeningly sweet smell, kind of like a sweet ammonia smell. It really burned your mouth. This hum, whoom, 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 whoom. I was just hearing it in my head. And then the voice in my head, stop that, calm down, you will not be harmed.
He said he noticed himself being levitated approximately 3 feet off of the ground, and there approximately 10 seconds, and then he was dropped. And when he fell to the blacktop, he fell face forward and rolled over, and the object was gone.
Jim was disturbed and thrilled, but worried that no one would believe him. So he mailed the pictures to a local newspaper.
My first reaction was, Polaroid? It's got to be real. I mean, how do you fake a Polaroid? And that's what had me convinced to go ahead and put it in the paper right away.
That publicity prompted an investigation. The people looking into these UFO sightings in Gulf Breeze are members of an independent organization, the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON.
We've, been watching, and we know that he hadn't got the time
to do this, to set this thing up. He's a businessman. He's got work to do.
But this first sighting was just the beginning of Jim's UFO experience. 9 days later, the object reappeared. Shortly before Jim saw the object, he heard it.
I started hearing the hum in my head, that same freaking hum I heard in the beam. I turned into a puddle of sweat. I thought that stupid beam had screwed up my brain. Then I'm hearing this part of a conversation, a language you can only maybe describe as African type. And the thing drops from the sky. And then in my head it says, "You are in danger. Zihos, step forward, be calm." No way. I started to take the picture, and in Spanish, it said, "Photographs are prohibited." I went, "Yeah, you think so?"
11 days later, about 3 o'clock in the morning, a soft hum and the sound of a baby crying awakened Jim. There are no infants in his family. Then, after hearing a bizarre conversation in Spanish about milk, bananas, leather, and power fuel, Jim looked outside.
I was eye level, smack eyeball level, with a creature standing there just looking into the room. I let out a scream and fell all the way back on the floor. I mean, I'm expecting to see something hovering out there, back there. I'm not expecting to see something standing 12 inches from my nose.
The entity that appeared there appeared to be a hybrid between a humanoid and a robotic creature with a thin shield on the front of the entity.
Jim decided to chase the entity, but he stopped dead in his tracks by the blue beam. After the beam released him, Jim took this picture.
My theory is that the beam was picking up the little critter.
Before the end of 1987, Jim says the object returned at least 4 more times. Each time, Jim took more pictures, showing the object in greater detail. This one, taken December 17th, apparently shows the glowing underside of the object. It's almost as if they wanted Jim to take pictures.
Unusual, of course, is that the central figure has been taking photographs over and over again. That's odd. That doesn't happen.
There are repeated, apparently staged photographic sessions. I mean, somebody up there wants somebody down here to take these photographs. For what reason, I'm not sure of it.
But apparently, Jim wasn't the only one taking pictures. On the morning of December 23rd,
this came just into our Dropbox overnight. A letter with these pictures and this camera. Since it's a toy camera, the man wanted to let us see what he took them with, and he just gives the camera too.
The man signed the letter Believer Bill. The toy camera produced grainy photographs, but the object in these 9 pictures resembled the object in Jim's photographs. No one knows who Believer Bill is, but a note sent to the paper says he took the pictures on the evening of December 22nd at 5:30. And that corresponds with the humming sound Jim says he heard around the same time that night. Just 12 hours after Believer Bill reportedly snapped his pictures, Jim took this startling photograph just before sunrise. 3 objects hovering in the sky over Gulf Breeze. On December 28th, about 8 o'clock at night, Jim saw the object from his porch. He used his video camera instead of the Polaroid, which was out of film. Jim hadn't used the video camera before because of the time it takes to put batteries and a videotape in it.
I snuck outside and hid in the bushes, punched the damn button, and just followed it.
As you watch the videotape Jim shot, keep in mind that the lights in the lower part of the screen are nearby street lights.
I was prepared at any moment to jump underneath the porch, especially when it came back camouflaged, unlit, or less lit. You know, like it thinks it's sneaking up, disguised, and I won't see it.
The videotape that he took of the moving UFO is so much better than the other 3 well-known photographic moving pictures of UFOs.
The most noticeable thing to me was the slow movement of the craft and the backward movement, retracing approximately the same airspace in which it had previously gone. And during that movement, the object is rotating, which is extremely interesting, particularly when that film is slowed down.
Flanagan refers to enlarging the image and putting the tape in slow motion. You can see the lit bottom ring, the light on the top, and the outline of the object, which closely resembles the objects in Jim's photographs. 1 minute and 38 seconds after Jim turned on his video recorder, the object suddenly blinked out. The next encounter with the object terrified Jim. It happened January 12, 1988, while driving along Soundside Drive east of Gulf Breeze.
It whipped overhead, oof, and this white beam, which is not like the blue beam, but more like a flash cube, came through the windshield, and it hit my exposed arms. My skin was like it was asleep, even worse. And then you don't have any feeling at all. I ended up going off the road to the left.
Though his hands were numb, Jim struggled to take this picture. In terror, he scrambled under his truck.
And then it started to turn a little bit, and every time it would turn, shoot, 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 shoot. 5 of these little blue beams, and then it would deposit one of these little creatures on the road. 5, all 5 of them started coming down the road with their little wands. I saw them coming. I wasn't going to stay under the truck, you know, because they're coming now. You know, you got to do something.
Jim jumped back in his truck and drove away, but the picture he took before the aliens appeared was a breakthrough for investigators.
We're excited about this one because of the close proximity to the road and also the close proximity from the photographer to the object, and the way it's situated almost to the left of the center line. A lot of detail is shown here.
Investigators had the picture analyzed. Experts approximate the object hovered about 3 feet off the ground, and it's about 13 feet wide and about 8 feet tall. Those dimensions were the conclusion of a noted optical physicist who was able to calculate the distance between the object and Jim's truck.
I figured that out looking at the photograph.
A professional photographer who agrees on the size of the object says this picture would be difficult to fake.
Shooting out of the windshield of the car, through the windshield of the car, and being able to reproduce this object down the road, reflecting on the surface of the road, I feel would be very difficult to do.
4 days after the Soundside Drive experience, Jim heard the humming sound again. This time, a witness went with him in search of the object. That witness, Dwayne Cook, editor of the Sentinel newspaper, videotaped their search.
That's incontrovertible evidence that this thing is working, because we got everything from the original shot to when you pulled it to when I separated it. At the time, I was videotaping him, so I wasn't looking up. I was looking at him, so I didn't see it myself. But the film didn't lie at that point, I don't think, and so I'm satisfied it was there.
Jim says the object darted away as he snapped the picture. Investigators say the streaks of light illustrate that motion. Photo experts believe that would be hard to fake.
If you take your hands, regardless of how steady you are, and you try to move something up, unless you have this on something that will lift absolutely vertical, you would get some form of a waving line, and these lines were not wavy. They were absolutely straight. And it gave you the impression of speed and ascent.
The skeptics may have to come up with the idea that there is no doubt that these are legitimate photographs of a legitimate wingless, apparently soundless craft which can hover and move at great speeds. And if they say that, they are then probably going to fall back in the position it must be a government object.
Could this be some sort of military aircraft? There has been speculation that the object is some type of military test vehicle. Gulf Breeze does sit in the country's busiest airspace, utilized by 4 major military air installations. However, calls to the public information offices of these bases established that there is no secret flying of a test aircraft in this area. And, even if there was, military officials say they would not be at liberty to discuss such tests.
First week, we talked to the military, and they said, first, if we had anything like that, it would be top secret and we couldn't talk about it. And no, we don't have anything like that.
They've been asked and they've denied any knowledge. We give them dates and times and ask some more general questions, and it's rare that we get any answers from military.
On January 13th, Jim says he was approached by 2 men who identified themselves as military representatives.
These 2 armed individuals reported, or they stated that they were from Special Services Security. We don't know what that is. We don't know that it's valid. But they did say that we're here with a material seizure warrant, and we want all of your original Polaroid film.
Them, he didn't have the pictures, so they left empty-handed. Investigators say the photos the men were apparently after chronicle one of the most compelling UFO cases in history. To date, 36 pictures have been taken. And 2 videotaped accounts. Several witnesses say they've seen something in the sky. And other anonymous photographers have snapped photos of an object that looks similar to the thing Jim's been taking pictures of for more than 3 months. And
we discovered a ring approximately 13 to 14 feet in diameter.
that ring is a perfectly round circle of dying grass next to Gulf Breeze High School, discovered after one of the sightings. Santa Rosa County's Civil Defense Director, Tom Roach, tested the site for radioactivity.
Nothing but a wet probe.
Roach also checked the Soundside Drive site, where Jim says he encountered the creatures a second time. Again, no trace of radioactivity. Site tests. Witnesses.
Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We're not for or against. It's just we saw something that amazed us.
Videotapes. Alleged alien encounters.
Of a small figure with very large dark eyes, which are extremely compelling.
And the pictures.
I can't prove to you they're real, but I sure can't prove that they're fake by looking at them.
So, how does this all add up?
The case has only two possibilities: that he saw this UFO, photographed it, etc., or the whole thing is a very, excuse me, very elaborate hoax.
And only one man knows for certain.
It's not a hoax. I could picture maybe a guy living someplace, bored with his life, he wants his picture on the front page. Maybe that's good for him. But what in the world, why would somebody, me, want to go through all this? Why?